blues, if you put, especially jazz players, if you put 3 jazz players at different levels or whatever, professional musicians, and you just ask them to play a C blues, B flat blues, F blues, doesn't matter what key, G blues, they're all going to play different changes. I can guarantee you they're all going to do something different. They're thinking a different change. So I'm going to demonstrate, someone pick a key. C? Okay, C is a good key. Here's C7, so I'm going to play C7 like this, kind of like what I showed last week. I would start this, that's a quick change there, 4, back to the 1, no 2, 5, 1, 4 chord. I like the sharp 4 dim right there, so I'm going to stop there. That's like Blue Monk, on the melody to Blue Monk, I know that's a B flat blues, but that sharp 4 dim should be measure 6. If you're following the 4-4-4 structure that a 12-bar blues is known to have. Now that oftentimes you would not have that. If you're playing Johnny Be Good, you're not going to have that sharp 4 dim in it. But rock blues or what we know is that I love it though. It's very bluesy and gospel-y to me to have that sharp 4 dim. And then back to the 1. Now here, this would be measure 9, 10, 11, 12, the last 4 bars of the blues. The really basic blues is the 5 chord, 4 chord, and then back to the 1, and then 5. This is really basic if y'all just want to do this with me. C7, and then F7, or F9, back to the 1, yeah. Stay there, and then F7, F sharp dim, yeah, and then back to C7. And then simply to the 5, 4, and then the 5. Now we're going to get a little bit fancier. 1 to the 4, back to the 1. But here, and everybody can stop right here. Here we're going to jazz it up by putting a 2-5 going into the 4. So if the 4 chord is F7 or F, we're going to play G minor 7, C7. We were just on C7, so now we're just putting a 2 in front of it. G minor 7, C7. And then that leads us beautifully to the F7 chord or F9, doesn't matter. So listen to it, C7, F7, and I say F7, I'm playing 9, that's okay. And then C7, right here, 2-5. And I fancied up the chords. I did G minor 7, C13, it's still C7, and then C7 sharp 5, just for a little bit of voice leading. It's really relatively easy once you know these shapes. And then I went to F9. So again, if I did the first 4 bars in the more jazzier blues style, I would do this. Actually, now, okay, I gotta show you one other thing then too, because I was about to do this. F9, F sharp dim right here. And then back to C7 or C6, and then 2-5. We're getting fancy here. And then F9, F sharp dim 7, and back to C7. Stop right here. Now this is about as fancy as I would expect you to get. We're going to put a 3-6 chord, so that's basically a 2-5 to the 2. So if we're in the key of C, the 2 is D minor, the 3 is E minor. So just think of it as going to the 3. So E minor, A7. You can do it here. D minor, G7. So this pulls us into playing jazz standards essentially. Now it's starting to sound like a jazz standard. E minor, like Fly Me to the Moon or whatever. E minor 7. A7, I'm fancy on the colors, little A7 sharp 5, and then that's going to go to D minor. I'm playing D minor 9 just for some color. G13, yeah, flat with 13 there, and then C9 down here. Now for the turn, so check it out here, where were we at? I'll take it from the 4 chord on measure 5 of the blues. F sharp dim, back to C7 or C6, right here. 3-6, D minor, G7, turn around. That's really common in jazz standards. What did I do for the turnaround? 1, 6, 2, 5. Yeah, that's that's the that's the foundation of what's called the rhythm changes. 1, 6, 2, 5, and also the songs. Flintstones. You're too young for that. Flintstones. But anyways, 165 or Blue Moon, all those classic songs, 50 songs, they use that 1-6-2-5 or a variation of it. Sorry, 1-6-4-5 like this. Right? How many songs do we know that do that? 1-6-4-5. But the bass player in the jazz would put the 2, so you have D minor 7 instead of F. And then you get 1-6-2-5. So that's our turnaround. That's the most common turnaround. And I've got a lot of worksheets on this is all on Patreon. I know some of you are on Patreon, many of you are on Patreon, but I've got a lot of worksheets in lessons talking about all the substitutions for 1-6-2-5. I'm not going to go into them here, but I'm going to show you one hack that I really love. So, and that's it's just simple. When you take C7, and then we're going to go up 3 frets, so it's going to be E flat 7. Now, that's in place of A7, and that's called tritone substitution. A, the tritone of it, 3 whole tones away from A is E flat. So we're subbing it out. They share the same 3rd and 7th. I'm just kind of giving you a quick summary and not really going through the theory there's no whiteboard, but C7, E flat 7, and then go chromatically down the 2. We're going to make it as dominant instead of minor. And then we're not going to go to G7, but we're going to play D flat 7. So it's completely chromatic like this. It's too easy. These are hacks right here, like for 1-6-2-5. And I don't really particularly like this plain old 7. I would do 13 like this. And then back home. So here it is. This is a fancy C13. 2-5 to the F. F9. F sharp dim. C13. E minor 7, A7. D minor 9. G13. F sharp diminish. 3, 6, 3, 6, 2, 5. Sharp 9, purple haze. Blank stare. Okay, so this is all written. I have this again. Just send me a message if you want me to directly. I'll follow up and send it because that's about as fancy as I think that you would need to get. We're starting to use some substitutions, tritone substitutions. Not really any dim 7 besides the sharp 4 dim, which is the sub for the dominant 7. But to me, then if you want to solo over that, you can. What's beautiful is that you can just play your blues. You can just. The major and minor, the hybrid scale, over all of that. It's going to sound so good. Don't get too caught up on like E minor 7, A7, D minor 7. It's still going to sound bluesy if you're improvising. However, if you want to take it to that another level, you would start to work and start to outline with arpeggios and just practice outlining those chord changes to what you're thinking harmonically. One more little thing that I do all the time on the 12-bar blues, and this will wrap up the whole blues section ultimately, is on that one that we're let's see, we went 4 sharp 4 dim. Now when we go back to the 1, which is a dominant chord here, you could do 6, but I'm going to go to the dominant. Now I'm going to walk it down to the A7. So I'm going to do this. 8. You just do 3 note shapes. No, these are all dominant 7 3-note shells. So that was in place of going C7, E minor 7, A7. I just went like this. bass players love this too. And then the D minor 7, G7, and then turn on.
That's in the key of C, and you're walking down to A, but you're not playing the A minor. You're playing the
Good question. Beautiful question. Yeah, that's for the, when I said the word 6, you would assume that's A minor in the key of C. This is a dominant chord. It sounds bluesier. Again, jazzier, you can say, but let's listen to it and see it, because it also functions. You have to understand that it functions going to D minor.
Okay.
That C sharp pulls us to the 2. So if I did it like this, it won't sound quite right. Versus, because it's just how it pulls it, everything. And then now I'm kind of having fun with inversions, and I can do stuff like. So again, now if I love that progression, which I do, then I want to be able to do some chords, use that framework, the progression that is, and do some inversions, chord soloing on the higher strings too, besides just the low strings for comping. But check it out, I'll just play it one time through. And this is 3-note shapes, which is great for comping, which is I didn't do the quick change there, but that's what I'm saying, is it kind of goes by how I feel. And then check it out. The walk of bass. So again, that's there. I had the 13s on. I went. These are kind of really big band, like literally big band style. That's what you'd hear, like horn sections play those. But Freddie Green, the guitar player for the Count Basie band, he would just do these. He would not really do those big chords. Again, that's kind of trying to create like a horn section sound. So almost getting like into chord soloing too. But anyways, those are like the variations demonstrated on a C blues. And yes, I would want you to apply it to G, B flat, just be able to do that. I really do think that thinking in terms of numbers is the best way. I try to get rid of letter names and just try to be able on your fretboard of whatever key you happen to be in. If I say 3, 6, 2, 5, if we're on F, it's A, D, G, C, just really make sure that you can hit these movements. And we haven't really done any 2/5 we only have one session. So the next batch of songs that we're going to hit, I'm going to show you, we're going to practice some 2/5s, and that will be Satin Dolls, a classic Duke Ellington song. And then we might also do Summertime, which has some 2/5s. But today, again, I want to just switch back to what we're talking about today. So I hope that clarifies and just shows you how the blues, again, we can spend just 6 weeks learning a ton of blues heads. That means the melodies and soloing and start off with, and maybe I will offer that sometime, like a course, just starting square one on the jazz blues, and then each week kind of progressing and working on it. And I have etudes and stuff like that. But for now, that hopefully is a good introduction on the jazz style blues versus rock and roll, or from Chuck Berry to Robert Johnson or whoever your favorite blues guys are. But it kind of gets you into that, like Kenny Burrell, that back of the chicken shack. I love that style of soul jazz and the blues, the 12-bar blues that Kenny Burrell was doing, Jimmy Smith, organ trio and stuff like that. So I would recommend the blues is a very broad, form in jazz. You can get really funky and soulful. Grant Green, if you will, are one of my favorites. But again, you can kind of expand on it in many ways. You can take it outside pretty far too.